a new app from Zoom that you haven't heard about to help you Zoom better. Hey everybody, David Paskin here. How's it going? Hey Robert, good to see you. Zoom cuts are going to make our lives easier. I think so. One button to join a cyclical meeting, change your name, set your background and lighting. Yeah, absolutely. So folks, what are we talking about here? What are Zoom cuts? So this was just released, just announced. You can get it over at, oh, hello, that's not right. I just pressed a button and everything went black. Oh my goodness. Hold on, I can fix that. I know how to fix that. In 3, 2, 1. There we go. Sorry about that. So my good friends at liminalet.com, you've heard me talk about Zoom ISO and Zoom OSC. Well, this is now called Zoom Cuts, something brand new. And what Zoom Cuts allows you to do is to use shortcuts to control your meetings more than just the hotkeys that are already built into native Zoom. Now, before we go any farther, I'm going to show you how this works. But before we go any farther, this is just out and I'm just beginning to dabble in this. My understanding from some of the people who made this is that eventually these things will become a part of the native Zoom client, and that this is sort of a pre-release release for those people who want to beat on it and test on it. It is absolutely worth playing with. So if you do a lot of Zoom meetings, even if you're not producing, if you're just running Zoom meetings for your temple, for your church, for your mosque, for wherever, for your educational institution, you may want to look at Zoom Cuts. So the way to get Zoom Cuts is go over to liminalet.com. You can download, it's a free download. When you do that, it's going to show up on your computer as its own app, as another Zoom client. So if I go down here, you may be able to see at the bottom here, I've got my regular Zoom client, and then this one is Zoom Cut. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and it's going to open up a dialog box, which is going to invite me to log in to Zoom. So I'm going to go ahead and click sign in. That's going to open a browser. I've already done this before, so it's going to automatically sign me in. And then we're going to get something like this. Now, for those of you who use regular Zoom, this looks a little different. This is, I'll just open the vanilla Zoom so we have it next to it. So here's the vanilla Zoom client right over here. So we can just take a look. So some of it looks familiar, some of it looks a little different. Obviously, there's a lot more in the vanilla Zoom client. You can access your mail and your calendar and all that other good stuff. There's actually one thing over in this client that is better. Well, there are a few things probably, but one thing that I love is this join via link. I've always wanted to be able to join a Zoom meeting from my client when I don't know the user ID, the Zoom ID and the password. I've always wanted to just be able to click a link and not have it open the browser and then say, do you want to open Zoom? I just want to do it. So they built that right in here. But you can see that you can do an instant meeting. This is if you just want to start a meeting with a random Zoom ID. So this is not your PMI, your personal meeting information. This is a random meeting number. This one, if you want to start, for example, whenever I host meetings, I do them on my what's called my PMI, my personal meeting. What does the I stand for? Identifier, maybe. So that's always going to open the same meeting for you. Obviously, you can join a meeting by entering the Zoom ID. Oh, sorry about that. You can join via link if you are participating in Zoom events, and here are your settings. When you click on settings, it's going to open up something that looks very similar if you've played with settings before in Zoom. These settings are all exactly the same. So what's so powerful? What's so special about Zoom Cuts? What they've done here is they've allowed you, as I said before, to use Apple shortcuts to navigate and interact with your meeting. Now, I'm going to be honest. I had never used shortcuts before this. I had tried and I just stopped. It hasn't been something that I've needed in my workflow yet. But on every Apple computer, you have an app called Shortcuts. And if you open that up, it will actually give you some a few starter shortcuts. I've deleted all of mine, but you can go to a gallery and there are a whole bunch of shortcuts that you can do. And these are essentially mini little programs that can do one or a number of things sequentially when you trigger them. So if I press one button, I can have it, I don't know, open an app and open a website and put the screens in certain places. Right? You can automate a lot of what you do on your computer. Coincidentally, this is also available, I believe it was first available on the iPhone and the iPad, and you can use Zoom cuts also on the iPhone and the iPad. It's not a separate download. It's built right into the Zoom client on your Apple device, on your iPhone or iPad. So what they've done here is they have added a whole bunch of actions that we can take advantage of. So if I go into, let me go back to all shortcuts. So if you want to build a shortcut, you can click on this plus button right here, and then you just sort of drag and drop what actions you want to happen. Now, there are a couple of different ways to navigate the different actions that you have available to you. You can search for them by different categories over here. You can also go by app, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see Zoom Cuts is right there. What I usually do when I jump in here is I just type in the word cuts, and it pops up to the top for me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Zoom Cuts, and now I've got all of these actions that I can take in a Zoom meeting with one button press. So I'm going to, let's just do a couple like really, really silly ones, all right? I'm going to search for join a meeting. I want a button either on my, in my menu bar or down at the bottom of my screen. I want to be able to click one button and it will join a meeting. I'm just going to drag this over here. It's going to add it. Now, I can go ahead and type in the meeting ID. So I'm going to type in my own meeting ID. Now, if the meeting that you want to join is not password protected, don't worry about it. If it is, click on Show More, and you can type the password in right here, and it will remember it. You can also type in what your display name is. So for example, if you have a computer that runs your weekly Zoomagog services, and you want to be able to, sorry, I got distracted by my fellow Yid. Hey, Baron, how you doing? Yes, a fellow Yid on office hours. Good to see you. Oh, it's just coming up there a little small. Sorry about that. So you have a computer, and you have a volunteer who needs to start your Zoom every week. Well, now you can create a button in your menu bar up at the top, or down below in your, what is that called? On your dock. I just remembered. In your dock, you click it and it will automatically join the meeting. You just literally type in the meeting ID here, type in the passcode if there is one, and the display name. You can choose, do you want the audio off and video off? I'll go ahead and turn both of these on for now. And that's it. Give it a title, join. All right. Now that I've done that, I'm going to close that. And now you can see that I've got a new shortcut right here called join. I'm going to go ahead and right click on this, and I'm going to say add to dock. So now if I go down to my dock, you're going to see that I've got an icon down here that says join. Now I can change the icon if I want. Let's see, change icon. You can upload. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to make it, I wonder if that will work. Let's see if, again, I've never done this before, so I'm not sure how to, no, that didn't work. Well, you can change the icon. I just don't know how to. Maybe you click up here. Is there a way to do that? Oh, there we go. Okay. I see. So if you click on this guy over here, so this is the icon that we're changing, the one that's in the menu bar. And let's say join. No, that didn't work. Let's put smiley face. All right, so we've got a smiley face because you want to greet your the people who are running your Zoom for you. Great, so I did that. Now, down here, I guess I need to, do I need to re-add this? Add to dock again? Oh, it didn't change it down there. That's interesting. I wonder how to change, I'm not sure how to change this icon. I'll have to do some research into that. or it may just be a computer restart. All right. So now watch the magic. Ready? So I'm putting shortcuts away. I'm actually going to, you know what? I'm going to even close. I'm going to close Zoom Cuts. Everything is closed now. Watch. I'm going to press this one button. Boom. I press the button. Zoom Cuts opens. Wait for the magic. Hold on. I don't have to do anything. Now it's asking me to enter my display name because I didn't put that in. David Paskin. Okay. Now has it started the meeting? Oh, maybe I wasn't signed in. Maybe that was the problem. By the way, one of the things that is not yet in here is persistent sign-in. So this is going to log you out every once in a while. Not when you're in a meeting, but if you just have it running on your computer, it's going... Oh, you know what? I actually think it is working. Hold on. I have something that's blocking it so I can't see. Wait a second. Wait, I have to turn this off. Yes, it is working. I apologize. Let me drag this over so you can see. I forgot that I had something blocking it. So it did go ahead and join the meeting. Because I had closed and therefore signed out, it's telling me that, you know, it's waiting for the host to start the meeting. But if you are signed in, and again, persistent sign in will be there, so you won't have to worry about this, and you're starting a meeting, your own meeting, then this will just go ahead and work. So I'm going to go ahead and let me close this out so I can sign in, and then I can show you how it just joins. All right, so now I'm signed in. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, and now I'm going to go ahead and click this button to the bottom, and I'll have to bring it over for you because it opens in a different window for me, but hold on. There you go. Now we're getting that infinity, but you get the idea. There is the Zoom. I pressed one button. It opened the meeting to the right meeting if I needed a passcode, and it also set my display name to whatever I wanted it to be. Right there. Okay. So that's just starting a meeting. That's easy, right? Let's do something a little fancier. So let's go back into shortcuts. And now I've created, let me show you actually before we build another one, let me show you the little ones that I've created so far. So I've created a few. I've created one that will mute all participants that are not muted and are not me. So I want everyone to be muted, even if I'm not the host. If I'm a co-host, I want to mute everyone who isn't me. So I have that one in there. I also have a number of these joins, these join actions. So there are 3 meetings that I join regularly. I join my own, so that's Start TTG. I join After Hours, which is something I join all the time, and I join where I teach some of my classes. All 3 of these are set up with the meeting ID and the passcode and the display name. I literally click a button and I'm there. Let's see, what else have I created? I've done a spotlight. So you can now press a button to spotlight, which is fantastic. So I often when I'm teaching want to spotlight myself. And so I've done find a participant whose username is me. I always use the same username, my first and last name, and then turn spotlight on for that participant, for that username. Then I also created, in addition to that, a clear stage, what I call clear stage, which, let's see, oh, that one, unknown action. All right, well, let's rebuild this. Let's see what we do here. So we want to unspotlight, but I'm not sure that that's the right one. So I'm going to go into Zoom Cuts, and let's see what we've got here. Set meeting, no. So it's going to be a spotlight. You're going to drag spotlight over, but here we go. Turn spotlight off for, I guess everywhere, select all. So I think that's what we're going to do. So this is now a clear stage button. So let's say someone is spotlit. Maybe your rabbi is spotlit, and you want to unspotlight that person. You can press a button. Donald is asking, will this replace Zoom ISO? Absolutely not. It will not replace Zoom ISO. I'll get to your second question in just a second, Donald. Zoom ISO is very, very different. So Zoom ISO is about grabbing isolated feeds from Zoom, taking them out of Zoom, and then bringing them into production, like Ecamm or OBS or vMix or something like that. This, in some ways, is like OSC. You need to Adam Tao. Thank you, Adam. Oh, come on, man. Look at this. Right there. This is the man, guys. This is the man who built this. Oh, you're kidding me. All right, so wait, now I'm going back in here. So I need to click turn and choose remove all. There you go. Look at that. So he's showing, we are learning in real time, friends, in real time from the horse's mouth how to get this done. Adam is the amazing developer at Zoom who this is really his baby. So this is one of the things that I'm still learning about shortcuts. And then I'll get back to Donald, to your question. So the way shortcuts work is you build them by dragging things in, but then each piece, each element of these shortcuts has a number of different variables that you can play with. And what I often forget to do is to click on all those variables. So for example, let me actually get rid of this for a moment. So I wanted to do something with Spotlight. I knew I wanted to clear spotlights. So what I would have thought to search for is clear. But the action that I really want to, the thing that I want to take an action on is the state of spotlighting. So I'm going to search for Spotlight, drag that in. Now I know that this shortcut is going to affect spotlighting in some way. Now this first variable, it says turn Spotlight on. If I click on that, now I get toggle or remove all. So remove all spotlights, and then you don't have to choose anything. Thank you. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. So make sure when you're doing this that when you're playing around with this, that you're clicking on all those different variables. So this variable turns Spotlight on or off, exactly. And then for participants. So let me turn this back. That's fantastic. Let me just really quickly go back to Donald's comment. So I was saying that in some ways, it certainly doesn't take the place of Zoom OSC. So Zoom ISO is about grabbing individual feeds so that you can use them and build something out in production. Zoom OSC is how I have been managing all of my Zoom meetings. It sits in the Zoom meeting, it listens to who's there, to what's happening, and then allows me to take actions on those things. Yeah, it's very similar to that. I think there are a couple of big differences. I think one difference is there are a lot of things that we can currently do in Zoom OSC that we can't do in Zoom Cuts. Having said that, there are also some things in Zoom Cuts that we can do that we can't do in Zoom OSC. For me, the biggest difference between the two is that with Zoom OSC, I get real-time feedback on the state of my meeting. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go ahead and open up, well, you're not really going to be able to see much because I don't have a meeting open right now, but this is what my Zoom OSC Stream Deck looks like. In these spots right here, this is where I would see who is speaking up. Their name would pop up there. I would be able to see if their camera's on, if their mic is on, if they're speaking. And because I can see all that information, I can very quickly take action on those different participants. In Zoom Cuts, you can still get feedback, but it's going to come to you in the form of a pop-up on your Macintosh, on your computer. So for example, if I were to join a meeting and then say, I want to spotlight, but I don't know who I want to spotlight, what Zoom Cuts will do is it will give me a list of everybody in that meeting, and then I can choose that person that I want to spotlight, and then it will do it. So it can do a lot of the same things, but that feedback element that Zoom OSC has is really, really powerful. So if you're doing a big production, I think that Zoom OSC is probably still the way to go. But if you are running a service and you have just a few people in there, and you want to be able to quickly spotlight or mute or join the meeting simply, or even do some fancier stuff like do round robin get to know yous in breakout rooms. It's just a fantastic tool to do those things. So for full-blown production, I personally would probably stick to Zoom OSC. For everything else, for everyone else, and I'm going to start testing this. I'm going to start trying to run some of my classes and meetings not putting OSC in. I'm going to try and just use this. Let's see. Adam is sharing another something with us. If you save participants in an action and run it in a different meeting, the participant won't match up, even with the same name. Use the find participants action if you want to find people by name. Right. So the example that I gave, thank you for that, Adam. The example that I gave, which really is very specific to me, is the Spotlight Me. So I primarily use this in meetings that I start that are on my account. It's the same meeting every time. It's the same meeting ID, and so that's primarily where I use it. So that should stay persistent, and it shouldn't be a problem. Now, if I use find participant action, if I want to find people by name. Right, so that's what I have here. I'm not even showing you, I apologize. So here's what I did, Adam, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. So what I did was, I did find all participant where username is David Paskin, because that's what my username is always going to be. Then I did turn on Spotlight for, I guess I should do participant. For participant, that's what I did wrong. For participant, and because, see here again, right? You got to build this out, and you got to click on everything. So what I essentially did here is I built a little program. I said, first find this participant where the username is David Paskin, then turn on the spotlight for the participant who is chosen up above. And Adam is saying I would test, but I think it wouldn't work because participants are identified by a unique ID per meeting. I would use find participant is myself. All right, let's try that. Find participant, so this is find all participants, is myself. Check that out. Okay, find participant is myself. Now I wonder, so Adam was suggesting that we do find participant is myself, and then I would do presumably turn spotlight on for is myself. I wonder actually if you even need this first step though. I wonder if you could just, if I could get rid of this. No, you can't. So that's interesting. All right, you need to find the variable first, and then you can do turn spotlight on for is myself. So I'm going to go ahead and add that back. I'm going to search over here for find participant. Right. Yep. Thank you, Adam. So find participant, and I'm going to say add a filter, and I'm going to say is myself. So find me, essentially, and then turn spotlight on for select variable. No, I didn't want to do that. Hold on, now I messed it all up. Turn spotlight on for, well, I don't want to click that. Not is myself. Doing that actually returns the is myself value to the spotlight action, which you don't want to do. Okay, so this is a great example of how you need to play around with this. This is fantastic. This is wonderful. So not is myself. Find participant is myself. Right, and then I select variable. This is kind of funny that I'm getting real live help here. So I choose the variable. Whoops, sorry about that. I choose the variable, right, and then I choose the participant button. right under Find Participant Action. That's what it is. Okay. You need to play with this, my friends. This is not, by the way, there are great YouTube tutorials on how to do this. I've never used shortcuts before. So the way this is built is fantastic if you've used shortcuts, because you'll know how to get all this done. The language that they're using, the design language and how to build these shortcuts is, I think it's universal for all shortcuts. It's just taking me a little extra longer because I've never done it before. All right, so now I've got to spot me. So find our participants, where is myself, and then turn spotlight on for participants. So again, if you're running the Zoom for a service and you want to be able to quickly spotlight, the whatever camera you are in control of that is joining the Zoom meeting, this is a very simple way to do that. Now, another question that was asked earlier is, can you use this with the Stream Deck? And the answer is absolutely yes. Let me show you what I've been building out here. So this is my Stream Deck. Now, for those of you who don't know, Stream Deck is a nifty little guy. Let me show it to you here. So these are Stream Decks right here. I've got a couple different sizes here. These are the big guys, and this is the kind of the medium guy, if you will. Let me get out of this so you can see. Apologies. This is the medium guy here. So I started building out some Zoom Cuts actions on this button right here. The reason I didn't start with this is because while I love Stream Deck and I live on my Stream Deck, not everyone has one, and you don't need one to use Zoom Cuts. Like I said, you can pop those actions right in your menu bar at the top. You can pop them right in the dock at the bottom of a Mac. If you're on an iPhone or iPad, you can just open the shortcuts and click it. You could even just open the shortcuts app on the Mac and just click it and it'll work. If you are using a Stream Deck, which I absolutely would suggest if you're doing any kind of serious Zoom work, you can also build them out here. So the way this works is you need to download a third-party you need to download a third-party plugin for the Stream Deck, just like we did you may have done for Zoom, or just like you may have done for Ecamm. This one is called Shortcuts. And there's only one action in here. It's called Launch Shortcuts. That's the whole thing. So when you get that Launch Shortcuts, you will literally just drag that over into an empty spot, and then it will automatically see all of your shortcuts. So if you have folders set up, they'll be there. If you, and then all of your shortcuts are right here. So that new one that I just created, which is the Spotlight Me. So that I just put that in there. Now, if I were to press this button in a Zoom meeting, it would spotlight me, period. It would find, now, wait, sorry. I should have said, you have to be a host or co-host in order for some of these to work. You can't just join a meeting and start spotlighting all over the place. But assuming you have the proper privileges, you can take action on these meetings right from there. You just pop it onto your Stream Deck. Now, what I did, because I'm playing with this, I'm using it still and learning how to use it still, I actually set up a couple pages. So this is my regular Zoom page in case I want to join a regular old Zoom meeting. Some of these actions, all of the hotkey actions will work in Zoom Cuts or in Zoom. So some of these I just copied, but this button in the top here where it says Zoom Cuts, if I press that, that will take me to another profile that I built just for Zoom Cuts. And you can see that I've got here the those three meetings that I join all the time. If I were to press any one of these, it would just pop me into that meeting. I have a Leave Meeting button. These are not Zoom Cuts. These are just, they're not really shortcuts. They are shortcuts, but they're hotkeys to get my screens where I want them to be. And then this button down here takes me to another profile that I created, and that's where my meeting actions actually live. Now, what I actually did here is I joined my meeting, and then the first thing I do when I join my meeting is I press this button over here, which takes Zoom full screen, and then I press this button over here, which moves another one of my Zoom screens. I built into this button so that as soon as it does all that work for me, it immediately switches to that cuts meeting profile. But I'll go ahead and I'll take you in there and I'll show you that these are some of the cuts that I'm playing with. So I've got pin to first screen. So when I'm meeting with one person one-on-one, I like to pin them to the first screen. I don't need myself to pop up there an active speaker. I've got that on stage button for me, that spotlight button. I've got the clear button. I've got a video on and an off toggle, a mute on and off toggle. This button mutes all. This is the mute all except me, I think. Buttons for original sound, which is fantastic. I've wanted to be able to control original sound on my main machine with buttons. There is a bit of a trade-off because you don't see, again, that feedback piece, right? On Zoom OSC, you get real-time feedback. On here, you don't. Even in the client, you actually won't see your original sound state change. It does change, but there is something flying around here. But you actually don't see it in the client, which is a little annoying. Maybe they'll fix that. And then I've got a bunch of other actions here. So I have just begun to build this all out. It's really exciting. If you're looking to up your game, if you're looking to find new ways to manage and control your meetings and really create the best experience, both for you and for your participants, I want to invite you to head over to liminalet.com. Liminalet.com. Do I have it up here? I wanted to show it to you. There it is. Liminalet.com. Download Zoom Cuts. It's free, or you can just play with it on your iPhone or iPad. Remember, it's not an additional app on your iPhone or iPad. It's just built in there. But play around with it, especially if you use shortcuts. If you're a shortcuts user, this is for you. If you've used Apple shortcuts or Mac shortcuts, this is for you. Really exciting stuff. Again, I believe the long-term plan is that some of this will be built right into the native Zoom client, which is super exciting. But for right now, let's dive in there and play around with it, folks. It's going to be really good. And I'm just so grateful, Adam, that you popped in. I got some real-time help here. That was kind of insane. Adam Tao is amazing, along with Andy Carluccio and the entire team over there at Zoom. So Zoom Cuts at liminalet.com. That's all I got, folks. Have a lovely rest of the day. See you later.